Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. It is me, once again, screaming into the void of the internet. Just got off work at closing, so you guys know what time it is. It's just random thoughts time, right? You know, a few people, as I was closing up, asked about my schedule, and they was like, hey man, what time? You gotta come back to this at like 8 a.m. Like, he says, I don't know how you do it. He said, you a little soldier, essentially. And for me, I think people don't really understand because it's like maybe they're in a comfortable position, not necessarily like, well off or anything, but it's like maybe they're in a position where it's like, they got a good bit of money, but I'm building my life from nothing. Like, I can't afford to just like F this up. Like, even my managers were like talking, I overheard them, and they were talking about like some people like they were considering like, replacing because like they're dramatic and they don't listen all the time. And it's not necessarily that all my coworkers here are like that, because like I said, they aren't really, at least so far, that bad. But I have at least seen at least one, right, so far. And of course it's the sister, the ratchet. Yes, there is one ratchet here. God dang it. Luckily, the only time I usually see her is at nighttime. So yeah, but they were saying that, but he said, hey, listen, I don't have nothing to worry about with him. He said he comes here early, he doesn't cause problems, he just works. And that's the truth, because it's like, for me, like, I've always just treated work like a machine. Like, they have to remind me, essentially, to take breaks, or I won't take a break. Like, I don't think people, it's like, I guess it's mainly just because, again, you're in this position where it's like, you can't afford to F up, you can't afford to let this opportunity go. I've given you guys this analogy, and I'm gonna say it again. Like, for me, I'm clinging to this job like a freaking cat is holding a shower pole. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen those videos on the internet, if a cat is over here like just goofing off and it's holding a shower rod, right? And it's just, it can't pull itself up, but it's just constantly trying. That's essentially what I'm doing. And this job for me is that, because like I've shared, guys, you guys know how hard I was looking for work. You know how like distraught I was, how destroyed I was sometimes over this scrap. I can't let this opportunity go. Like, yeah, it may not be the best job, it may not like be some kind of get me out of jail free card and stuff like that. For all intents and purposes, even if I were to work like every day, right, every day at this job, I'd still probably like barely be above the poverty line, barely, just barely. But even then, like, for me, I wouldn't really care, because the fact of the matter is, it's not just about how much money you make. I've said this before, it's about how much money you retain. If you're just bleeding through your cash and stuff like that, then, it's whatever. Because for me, think about it like this. Theoretically speaking, if everything goes according to plan, like, I can't necessarily give you how things are going to go, because I can't see the future and whatnot, but if everything goes according to plan, I'll be able to save at least, let's say at least, 70% of what I'm making. You know what I mean? Like, monthly is what I'm saying. Because let's just say like at least a quarter of it, right? A quarter would go to rent in terms of like a room, right? 500 to 600. Usually I'm aiming for a 500 room right around here, right? It'll go to rent, and that's that. All of my other money, like, 70 to 75%, I'd be saving. So even though I'd be, air quotes, living in poverty, air quotes, considering that I'm retaining my money, I still have tons of spending. You know what I mean? Like, for me, I just can't let this opportunity go. I don't know when I'll get another one. I don't know when I'll get another chance. And I need this right now, because if I can get this going, then it'll lead to other things, Because the fact of the matter, guys, is this is not my final destination, not by a long shot. I don't know how long I'll have to work here, but this is not going to be my final destination. What I intend to do is use this to build up other skills, right? So, graphic design, I used to be all right at it, but I never fully had a chance to, like, take some courses, get some proper training and stuff like that. So, I will, as I get money, right, be able to, like, invest in some equipment to better learn graphic design. Learning graphic design is going to open up opportunities for me to, like, freelance, right? Graphic design stuff for other people, maybe YouTube thumbnails, things like that. You'd be surprised. There are people out here paying like $30 a YouTube thumbnail. I kid you not, $30 a thumbnail. So if you could get somebody as like your main graphic designer employer, if you will, then bada bing, bada boom. Like $30 a thumbnail. That's not that bad, right? Because graphic design doesn't take nearly as long as you think. So, especially when you get good at it, and someone usually wants a consistent template. Oh yeah. Then it's just basically like just changing a couple of words and pictures around, and that's that. So is what it is. Graphic design, I have never really taken the full opportunity to extensively learn editing. That'll be something good too. And both of those are freelance jobs, essentially. There are ways to make money. I used to edit freelancing a bit back in the day, and it can pay pretty well. Like somebody just even if it's just like sprucing up audio and stuff like that. Someone paid me like $200, just to spruce up like 2 hours worth of audio and clean the footage up, make it look sharp and edit and give it some good contrast. $200, that's nothing. So I plan on using this job to be able to invest and learn other skills to like, help me get money, more liberally. Stuff that's more on my time, right? And ideally, because I told you guys this before, I want to get into robotics and tech. So I need to see what's up, like what kind of schools are available. Because listen, I'm not going to college. F that. There's no point of me going to college and wasting money for a piece of freaking paper that ain't worth the freaking garbage it's printed on and stuff like that. Like, it's just toilet tissue at this point, considering that everyone sits around here and asks you for some kind of degree, and then these cocksuckers with degrees don't even have experience. And no, I'm not going to waste my money like that. There are tech jobs and there are fields that I can get into, so I need to do my research and I need to know what's available. Now, I'm not even going to sit around here and pretend like I know if there are available tech jobs like where I stay, because where I'm currently staying, like I said, it's not the boonies, but it's like everything's so far. Like, it's this, like I said before, like this intersect between rural and urban, to where the city is within reach, but it's like a bit of a distance, It's not far enough to where it's like, like you're just seeing like just trees and forests and stuff like that, but it's still far enough to where it's like, it's not something that you're just going to be able to just reach like pretty easy, like, It is a change of pace. I will say that. But for me, like I said, I'm clinging to this because this is my hope. A lot of it is riding on this. And to take a sip of some freaking soda that I got no business drinking, but whatever, had to. It's just the first thing to grab. And can I say something, man? I don't understand how, like, you're in like a freaking fat arse restaurant, and like when you don't even see water fountains, man. Like all it is just like freaking sodas and all this other crap. Like it's just like the only thing here that isn't a carbonated drink that I like drink like is like lemonade, and even then it's like the freaking Minute Maid stuff. So it's like all that high fructose corn syrup garbage, and yeah. So I will have the occasional soda. And luckily, this one is like kind of flat because I find myself not really enjoying like really, really carbonated beverages. Like, there's a limit for me personally. Like, I like it mainly like kind of like mild to low carbonation, where it's not like just freaking making you burp every 5 seconds. I don't really care for that. I did when I was younger, but these days I'm like, I don't really care about that, But kind of getting back to the point, like, there's a lot of hope that I have riding on this, like, and I think that people just can't really grasp it because, like I said, like, I'm literally the first one here sometimes, if not the last one to leave. Like, that's literally how bad it is. And yeah, you could argue it's because, like, like, I don't really have a proper transportation and stuff like that, so I have to, like, come as early as possible and sometimes sit out here for 2 hours. But people don't understand, man, like, I can't let this go. I just can't. I have to keep fighting. I have to. I will get out of this situation. That's always what I'm telling myself. And thank God he's giving me the strength to deal with it, because listen, like, when my coworkers were telling me, they were like, man, listen, I'm not coming to this like early in the morning. Whenever I get this early in the morning, I just call out. And I'm like, yeah, man. In my head, I didn't say anything, because I'm a quiet person. But in my head, I'm just like, listen, man, I just can't. Like, even if I had to work daily, like, every day, like, I'd still come. I don't care. The only issue is I get a little annoyed because if they call me at the last second, then it's like I don't have as much time to prepare, because I always prepare ahead of time, so I always set my alarms and stuff, and So if I'm like looking at my freaking schedule and it says come in at this time, and then I check it like again because I'm always checking that thing like every day, just like a just in case, even if it's like just on my ride back home, I'm checking, and if the time changed, then that's like where I get irritated. But coming in daily, like I don't mind because so many of us are so used to thinking that we're supposed to get breaks, and I do think that we are. I don't get me wrong, but it's like if I'm at the stage of life where I'm in right now, man, like I can't afford to not, like every time I could be here is a time that I'll be making money compared to like sitting at home and doing nothing. So, yeah. Also, at least on a better note, I found out when I'm going to be getting paid. The payroll got delayed, so I get paid this Friday, which is good because I just had a feeling that something would happen. Like it's not necessarily like it's the end of the world, but it's like I was supposed to get the money way ahead of time, and I was like, what the heck's going on? And so, I get paid the Friday, but it figures. You guys know my luck, but that's far from the worst thing. But it's fine. I'll have enough money to Uber here, and that's all that matters. Because once Friday hits, then I've got more than enough. I've got more than enough money to always catch an Uber here. Not that I'll always be trying to Uber home this way and home. Like I'm at least trying to say Uber here at first. If I can catch a ride with the folks, then I can. But like I said, my days of even asking are done because, like I said, I know I said this before, but it's disturbing. It's disturbing that you live in someone else's house. The car that you're driving isn't even yours. It's your own freaking mom, and you make a big deal just to get your freaking mom. You can't get out of bed just to take your freaking mom to work? Like, nah, man. Yeah. So just to save myself and, like, not complicate anything, that I just stopped asking. And, it is what it is, So I just spend, like, say the $15. Depends on, like, the time that I go, but I just spend the $10 to $15 and I just come here. It just is what it is. It is what it is, right? And like I said, I'll probably get maybe 6 hours, maybe 5 hours of sleep, and I'll come right back here. It don't matter, because I have to make this happen. I have to sacrifice. I have to do what I don't want to do so that I can one day hopefully do what I actually do want to do. Now, I'm not going to sit around here and lie to you. I'm going to say this straight up. This is just dreams. This is just my goals and objectives, but there is no guarantee that it will come to pass, and I fully acknowledge that. I have to be accountable to myself, and I have to be accountable to reality, because the fact of the matter, guys, is sometimes we make plans and crap doesn't work out. It just doesn't. So I'm not going to sit around here and pretend to say that, oh, you guys are just lazy. You need to be more like me and just sacrifice and do everything. Listen, this is just my path. I understand so many of you who have just said, F it, I'm just sitting here and rotting. I don't care. I understand. Don't ever think that because I'm on the path that I am now that, like, I look back and I'm like, oh, you guys are just lazy cocksuckers and stuff. No. I will always be on your side with how life has just handed us some really garbage hands, and they're telling us to try and make a play with it. And listen, some people do. Some people just come from the rags to riches, okay? I was reading a story just today in China where this guy was like freaking a beggar as a teenager, and he ended up like getting a furniture company, and that's what's up, man. Like, stuff like that can happen. But is it realistic to say that it will happen for everyone? Absolutely not. But it can. Would I need to feel like I needed to be a freaking CEO or something in order to be happy? Not by a long shot. I just want to be free. That's all I've ever wanted. I want the ability to know that I'll have a roof over my head. I'll have food in my belly. I won't have to worry about bills. I've always wondered. I've never been able to really experience that. I don't think there's a moment where we haven't been living paycheck to paycheck. I don't think there's a moment where I felt like I could truly call this place my home because I wasn't concerned if we'd be able to pay the rent. I don't know what that feels like. I don't know what lack of chaos in your life feels like. I don't think I've ever felt like that. I've learned to be content in the chaos, but that doesn't mean that I want the chaos there. you know? So, that's why I fight, you know? That's why I'm, like, sacrificing. That's the plan. But like I said, guys, like, I'm not an idiot, you know? Like, it could all be for naught. I don't deny that. Maybe I'll be stuck here like Squidward and I'll never leave. You know? Who knows? But I'm going to try. And I'm going to keep trying because I'll say this, guys, again. I don't know when your situation is going to change. I don't know when my situation is going to change. I got a job, but I still have to do a lot to change the situation. But you have to try. You know? You don't have to. I shouldn't say that. The only way that your situation will change is if you try, is what I should say. You know? If you want the situation to change, then you have to try. If you have learned to be content in the situation, then you obviously don't have to try. But the only way that it is going to change is if you try. And I'm trying. And that's all we can really do. You know? I'm not going to tell you that you're a failure for giving up. Listen, I very much understand why you gave up. I do. But I'm going to keep trying. You know? And maybe just talking this out will give me the strength to keep going, and maybe it'll give you the strength to try. You know? I'm not over here trying to be, like, inspirational or something like that, like I'm some kind of, like, great motivator, but I know that, again, there are stronger people than me who may be listening. There are people who are going through worse than me that may be listening, and maybe you can get out of that situation, man. I can't guarantee you that it'll be like cupcakes and roses waiting you on the other side like a freaking luxury life, but maybe you can get out of something where you can actually have some peace. That's all I really want, man. That's all I want is peace. So, I'm going to go ahead and leave it here, guys. I'm going to wait for my ride. Leave it here. Thank you guys for listening. I mean it. Thank you for sticking it out with me. And honestly, thank you for the ones that actually sit there and, like, you know, believe in me, man. I mean, you know, like, I don't really see this internet crap as, like, you know, you're my fans or stuff like that. I don't see it that way. I think you're just some decent people who relate to stuff that I say, and it's like we all want each other to do well because we know what it is to do awful. So, I hope that you guys hang in there just like I am. Hope you guys keep trying. Hope you guys keep fighting. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving me a place where I can just share these thoughts. It's not about how many people, you know, it's not about how viral a video is. It's just about talking and getting that out there, you know? So, thank you once again. I know I say it a lot, but I do mean it. Thank you. God bless. I will see you next time.